your boy Mod. Today we're gonna do a ranking of all the Spider-Man movie from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man all the way up into Across the Spider-Verse. So let's get into it. I think it's 13 movies in total. And also I'm going to include all of the Venom, and I'm also include Morbius in this ranking video. So let's get into it. At number 13, I will say Morbius. Morbius is probably the worst movie on this list. Yeah, Morbius definitely like it's the trashiest movie at all of these. This movie is so lackluster, it's underwhelming. When I saw this movie, it was just very boring and basic. Like, it was nothing appealing about this movie. Plot was terrible, CGI was terrible. Also, to be a vampire movie, I really rarely saw any blood. The only blood I did see was like little drops of blood, but I love how in the earlier like Blade movies you saw a bunch of blood, considering that Blade is a vampire, which makes sense. But I didn't like that, and I feel like the only highlight of this movie is probably like Michael Keaton's appearance as the Vulture at the end of the movie. And also the whole connection to Spider-Man didn't make any sense, because in the trailer you seen like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man on like a wall or something, but then it just didn't make any sense. I really don't understand like what universe it's supposed to be in. So this movie just all over the place. It's a mess. It's a terrible movie. It flopped really hard. So this movie is definitely the worst. At number 12, I will put Venom 2018 at number 12. Venom was okay movie. The plot wasn't all there. It's very basic and generic, just like Morbius. The only thing I feel like was good in this movie was the relationship between Eddie and Venom. I feel like they had some very cool scenes where like they was basically like frenemies in a way. Like sometimes they'll be at odds, and other times they'll be having fun and be best friends. So I feel like their relationship really saved this movie. Besides that, there's nothing really memorable about this movie. Nothing really memorable. Like, everything else is just very basic and generic. So I will put Venom at number 12. At number 11, I will put Let There Be Carnage. I feel like Let There Be Carnage was a little bit better than 2018 Venom. Carnage was decent. I would love to see more from Carnage. I feel like this movie was very rushed. The pacing was kind of weird. I feel like we didn't really get to see that much of Carnage, and then he died in one movie. Like, I would love to see him in more movies with Venom, since he's Venom offspring. But we don't see Carnage in one movie, and he died in the movie. So I guess that was okay. I don't know. That was kind of weird to me. So not him dying in this movie kind of threw it out for me. And then the pacing was weird, and it wasn't the best movie of all time. It was pretty low on my list because the pacing was very weird. So at number 10, I'm gonna put Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2, it had potential to be good, but the script was terrible. Andrew Garfield is by far my favorite Spider-Man out of the three. I feel like he really fits the character. He really embodies what Spider-Man is. I love him as Spider-Man. But Jamie Foxx's Electro was pretty bad. I love Jamie Foxx as an actor, but him being Electro wasn't that good. It was very comic booky. It was very it's like very comic booky. Like, he was a fanboy of Spider-Man. He loved Spider-Man. He idolized him. He was like the biggest fan of him. So he had that going on. And then he worked for this very important company. He fell into this bag of ills. And then he becomes Electro because, people dissed him. So like, they treated him like less than. He was basically bullied his whole life. And he just want to be a hero. So yeah. And then that was cool, I guess. But I really didn't like it like that. It was very comic booky, very, 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 very underwhelming film. I will put this at number 10 simply because of that. Also, Green Goblin was terrible in this movie. I hate Green Goblin's design. It looked like he got the disease or something on the side of his face. I didn't like that. The only good thing Green Goblin in this movie was kill Gwen Stacy. That was the best scene in this whole movie, the death of Gwen Stacy. That was very surprising, very shocking. Best scene in the whole movie, she had snapped her neck. Very heartbreaking to see in theaters. I remember seeing that in theaters as I was probably like, when the movie came out, I was like 12 when I seen this. That scene really took me by surprise. I didn't expect her to die like that. So that was the best scene in this whole movie. Everything else was just, it could have been better. At number 9, Spider-Man 3, another movie where it had too many villains. Like, Spider-Man 3, if Sandman was the only villain in this movie, I feel like the movie would have been 10 times better. But the fact that you had Venom, and then you had Harry. Also, it's 3 villains in one movie, which it was too much going on, and the pacing was bad. Then again, the pacing was bad in this movie too. So it was bad. Venom, I really didn't like Venom in this movie. It was very, it wasn't a Venom. It wasn't my. I didn't picture Venom being like this. If that makes sense. It wasn't good. Harry was okay, and then the whole Bully Maguire scenes, he was dancing and showboating and all that was kind of cringe too. So I really didn't like those scenes. So I feel like Sandman was the only good villain in this movie. I feel like I love Sandman as a villain, so that was one of the highlights of this film. Besides that, this film is number 9 for me. So at number 8, I would pick Far From Home. Far From Home wasn't as good as the first Spider-Man and Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy. It wasn't as good as Homecoming. So I think Far From Home was a decent film. Mysterio was a good villain, but I just don't like how his motives was first. It was Iron Man. His motives wasn't even Spider-Man. Spider-Man was just in a way, which I really didn't like. I would love for the villain and the hero to be at odds, but I feel like he really wasn't at odds with Spider-Man. He was more at odds with Tony Stark. So I really didn't like that. Besides that, nothing really too amazing about this movie. It was okay at best. Nick Fury was cool. I always thought Ned was always a good side character. He was cool. MJ was cool. The whole MJ and Peter Parker love story was okay. But it's a very okay movie to me. So at number 7, Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming was a good movie to me. I feel like this movie is like a B- to me. You had some cool scenes in there. You had scenes with the Vulture and Peter Parker. My favorite scene in the movie is when he was in a car with the Vulture and he figures out that Michael Keaton is the Vulture basically, and that was a cool little scene. And Michael Keaton knows that he's Spider-Man, and it's just a really cool scene. I love that scene. And just like I said in Far From Home, he wasn't really worried about Spider-Man. He was trying to steal Stark Tech. So I feel like none of Tom Holland's villains are really worried about him. They're more so worried about Iron Man, which makes no sense to me since it's a Spider-Man movie. So simply because of that, I would put this at number 7. I just feel like Spider-Man is too dependent on Iron Man in these films, and I would love Spider-Man to be an independent character. So this is definitely number 7 to me. Anything else about this movie I want to touch on? I love Ned. Ned is cool as the best friend. The dude in the chair. Ned has some very funny moments. I love Ned. The whole Homecoming, the whole high school vibe was cool. Liz as the love interest, she was cool. So definitely number 7. Okay. All right. At number 6, I'm gonna put The Amazing Spider-Man 2012. I think this movie was way better on the rewatch. When I first watched it, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but when I rewatched it, I actually really enjoyed this movie. So this movie is high up on my list since I rewatched it. Andrew Garfield was by far my favorite Spider-Man out of the 3. I feel like he really embodies what Spider-Man is. Him being independent, him being basically a badass, basically. So I think him being Spider-Man was perfect casting. I thought like the only problem people have with him that he's like too cool to play Spider-Man in a way, which I guess you could say that, but I feel like he really fits Peter Parker. Gwen Stacy is by far the best Spider-Man love interest out of the 3 we see from Tobey's, Tom Holland's, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man franchises. I feel like she's the best love interest. I also like MJ from Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but I feel like she's probably the best one. She was really good in this movie. Lizard was a good villain. I love the scenes where he's crawling around like a spider when he's fighting Lizard. That was really cool. He's just like a really good Spider-Man to me. I feel like he's the best one. So this movie is number 6 for me. At number 5, we have the original Spider-Man for 2002. I love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He started it all off. Spider-Man was one of my favorite movies as a kid. They have the best villain out of all the villains. Grim Goblin, Willem Dafoe really killed this role. He really scared me as a little kid. Like, he was a real scary villain to me. Like, you know, Green Goblin is by far my favorite villain because of him. So he did really good. I love the little gems, little quotes he had in the movie where he would just tell Spider-Man that you know, if you're gonna live long enough to be the villain, you know. That was really cool. Somewhat of a scientist myself. That was cool. That was cool. And I just love the whole him and Green Goblin, like, it's like Norman Osborn, then there's like Green Goblin, you know. Like one day he's Norman Osborn, then the flip switches it, then he's Green Goblin. Like I love the whole dynamic between those two people. So that was really cool. And overall, it was just a very solid film, you know. I love the fight scene at the end with the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. That was very brutal. I love the brutality of this movie. 10 out of 10. This one was really good to me. It will be higher on my list, but I think these other 4 movies are better. So at number 4, we have Spider-Man 2 from 2004. This movie is so good to me. I love the fight scene, love the action, love Dr. Octavius in this movie. W villain, W plot, love everything about it. Like I said, it has the best fight scenes. I love the scene where they're on the train, they're fighting, and he just so good, man. I just love it so much. And then you have the scene where he's stopping the train with his webs. That was like, when I say this, like one of my favorite scenes where like the superhero saves like people, like the civilians and stuff. I love that. That's one of my favorite scenes in this whole entire film. I love when he saved the train, bro. It was so intense. It had like people watching the movie on the edge of their seats, like, is he gonna save them? I love that. And like I said, like Dr. Octavius is a really good villain. Alfred Molina, he killed this. So this movie is pretty high on my list. It's at number 4. So at number 3, I had to put No Way Home. No Way Home was a combination of all the Spider-Man we've seen up until 2021. So you have Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, you have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, then you have Tom Holland Spider-Man, all in one movie. And then on top of that, you have villains from previous Spider-Man movies. You have Green Goblin, you have Dr. Octavius, you have the Lizard, you have Electro, you have Sandman, all in one movie, a whole multiversal event, bro. Love it. And then on top of that, you have Doctor Strange in this movie, which he had some very good lines, very cool. Basically, he had did a spell where everybody forgets Spider-Man because everybody found out that Tom Holland Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So you have that whole thing going on, and then you have villains coming in from different portals because the spell didn't work. So love that. I love just seeing these 3 Spider-Man on one movie screen. So love that. The villains are cool. I think the best villains in movies by far, Willem Dafoe. He killed he killed Aunt May in this movie. He killed Aunt May in this film. That was very tragic. This and then in the movie, everybody, including MJ and Ned, forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man and forget who Peter Parker is. So that was crazy. So basically, nobody knows who he is. His aunt has died, and he has nobody to live with, so he's just on his own now, and it's very crazy, man. Like, I love this movie, very good film. It's number 3 for me. At number 2, we have Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse, it was so good. Like, when I seen this movie, I was just mind blown. I didn't expect this movie to be that good. It's based like a comic book put onto the big screen. I love the visuals. I love the animation style. This movie is just top tier. 10 out of 10 movie film. I love Miles Morales as Spider-Man. It was like a different take on Spider-Man. You know, I'm used to Peter Parker, but seeing different Spider-Man and women on one screen was so beautiful to me. We have Spider-Noir, we have Miles Morales, we have Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, we have Spider-Ham. Like, it was so many good Spider-Man in this movie. It was just good to see. It's like a breath of fresh air. Also, Kingpin was a good villain in this movie. Kingpin was a good villain. Then we have Uncle Aaron the Prowler in this movie. He was good. I love his themes. He has some very good music. Yeah, Sunflower is one of my favorite songs from this film, bro. This film is a 10 out of 10, bro. Love this movie. I could watch this on repeat all day, every day. So I got to put it at number 2. But at number 1, I have to put Across the Spider-Verse. I don't want to hear recency bias, but this is by far the best Spider-Man film. Everything about this film is just beautiful. Perfect film for me. We have like the whole thing with Miles not really belonging and him not really being Spider-Man. He not really supposed to be Spider-Man. He originally supposed to be the Prowler, but he ends up becoming Spider-Man because a spider from a different universe came and bit Miles. That was crazy. And then we have the Spot being the villain. Miles created the Spot, so him and Spider at odds. That's his villain. Then we have Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman in this movie. Then we have Miguel O'Hara. He stole the show. We have Spider-Punk. We have Spider-Man India. We have so many different versions of Spider-Man in one film, and it was just so beautiful to see the Spider-Man fan. Like, I seen a bunch of versions of Spider-Man that I was want to see on the big screen. on the big screen at one time. It was just so beautiful, man. Love this movie. I love the whole plot of the movie. Miles coming to himself and him standing on what he believes in, and everybody not believing that he should be Spider-Man, and that basically he was supposed to let his father die, but he wasn't gonna let his father die because that's his father, and everybody like, he had to let people die because it's a canon event and things are supposed to happen. If this doesn't happen, then that's not gonna happen. And it was so crazy, bro. Love this movie. 10 out of 10 film. Want to watch it again. I'll probably watch it. I'll probably go to the movie, watch it again, just because that's how good the movie is. And this is my number one. And that's gonna do it for my ranking video. I feel like this is a very fair ranking and very unbiased. Let me know how I feel about my ranking in the comment section below. I'm going to debate y'all. But let me know how I feel about my ranking in the comment section below. And let me know any more content y'all want to see from me. Any more like tier lists, any more reactions, any more ranking videos y'all want me to do. Let me know in the comment section below. And thank y'all for watching, and see y'all next time, man, for sure.